What's up, everyone? Hello, all the bodies and everyone. Goodness gracious, all the parts and the whole, everything included. Actually, in this awesome transcendence that we are doing with everything, every thought that we think ought to be, and the space that holds us in grace, the grace of God's grandeur, actually, in actuality. This is what I'm saying. I'm speaking to you, listening, kings and queens, human beings. You can call yourself whatever you want. And when I was just doing my meditation from yesterday, the lesson was my mind is part of God's. I am very holy, holy moly. And um, for that, you're supposed to do 3 5-minute immersive sessions for yesterday's lesson, where you just repeat the idea at the beginning, close your eyes, and then look in your mind at ways that you perceive who you are. I see myself as ambitious, but my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. I see myself as lazy, but my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. I see myself as um, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're just all the ways that you see yourself, and it's interesting. Some of them are contrary to one another, and then affirm. But my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. And then I'm like in my meditation, I'm like part. Why part? An extension was what I would think would be more like clearly a great thing to say actually. And then like part is like partial. It's like participation. It's like playing my part as an extension. So my original in the meditation, my question, why is it part? Part seems like I liked the word extension better, and then I remembered that in the Bible, the Bible, um, there's a part that says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And in the Course of Miracles, it also says a cause is a cause because of its effects. And so the idea is that sort of, I heard this said by my friend David Hoffmeister, that it's kind of like the thought of the story Jesus Christ in the mind of God was like a perfect bridge between what the image of separation was as what a story is to a happy dream of a story of forgiving separate things, what we thought might ought to be as something other than what the truth is. And then all this providing a path to heaven and knowing there is no path actually. It's just that's where you are is. That's what you are is. That's what the true truth is actually. And yeah, yesterday, all throughout the day, there was lots of interesting, um, intense moments to get to practice the lesson for the day, reaffirming, seeing the way I was thinking about myself in certain situations. I see myself as whatever the ways were, and then I but my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Part from, part of, part for, extension for what God is as wholeness is. And speaking of wholeness, holiness, my whole holiness, holy moly, envelops everything I see, actually. This is the lesson for today, lesson 36 in our course, this course, A Course in Miracles, of course. My holiness, your holiness, our holiness, his holiness, her holiness, the holiness envelops everything you, he, she, I, it, we see. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness is like an envelope. And this is the message to you, wrapped in what I am as what my holiness is that envelops the screen on the edges, the perceiver I think I am as a character being, and even the context, and the content made holy. All the things I think ought to be and that I think may kind of get to be challenging me, and who I me am it thinking be too. Oh, our holiness envelops everything we see. Oh my goodness, this is so great. Here we go. We are reading, and don't forget, remember, okay, your holiness envelops everything you see. Today's idea extends the idea for yesterday. From the perceiver to the perceived. You are holy because your mind is part of God's. Part of God's, an extension of the meaning of wholeness, holiness. And because you are holy, your sight must be holy as well. Sinlessness. Sinless means without sin, innocence. You cannot be without sin a little. You are sinless or not, actually. If your part, if your mind is part of God's, you must be sinless innocently, or part of his mind would be sinful, guiltfully. And this is cannot be. There is nothing separate from the wholeness, actually. Your sight is related to his wholeness, not your ego, not to your ego, and therefore not to your body. So this is the context that, having read the text, if you knew about the tiny mad idea, which I often iterate and reiterate and pontificate and masticate on, chew on this thought there, where the world of story appeared to appear from, as for, was, into the mind of God, where all is one and always will be one. There crept a tiny mad idea, at which it did what? It forgot to laugh, which is this question. And again, in the mind of God, which is the place of pure, divine, holy, heartfelt reason, reasonable reason, purposeful reason, like wholly extending function of unbroken truth, unlimitedly holy and fully true. But then the tiny mad idea was like, yeah, but what if there was something other than the truth? It would be like, where? There's like, the truth would be like, where would that be? Like, what are you talking about, bro? So, but that doesn't make any sense. The truth would say, like you can pretend to imagine that, and you can see what it would seem to look like, and it might look like a hologram pop-up book where like there's lots of trauma and things, but there won't be. That's not true. That's a story. I wouldn't go there, bro. But the mind wanted to know. Mischievous mind wanted to play, and it was like, yeah, but I really want to see what would it look like though. It went like this. It was like, oh shit, and it projected it out. And it saw that it was a world full of war and full of miscommunication, communication that doesn't really connect, and creators that don't care about their creations in many ways, parents that traumatize their babies, innocents born ready to be, um, unfortunately traumatized in some ways or another. It's pandemics and things like this. It's the news, the way we see it. So the mind thought it really did this. It thought it really hurt heaven. It thought it really hurt reality. It thought it really split the truth into um, that which is untrue and that which is true. All there is truth in reality. But the mind thought that it had hurt heaven, and so it thought that it would be punished by God. And there is no thing true in this. This is a story of separation, which the atonement accounts for via the holiness of your mind, the mind you share with God. And your holiness and his holiness envelops everything you see. This is the prayer you give for everything, for giving any meaning seemingly separate of that thinking. This is the kingly thinking of the kingdom within, sharing and shining from your beautiful heart out to a world that seems to say, it was like the challenge God gave. How could I even shine? How would I know I was really great unless I gave myself a great challenge? And yeah, in the happy dream, when everything is given for a purpose of forgiving, eventually the light shines through the scenes of the story, so much so that the film burns up and you just end up in the kingdom within. And the story becomes a forgiving dream, a dream wherein there's shareable miracle parables everywhere, so much so that it becomes a bright light. Like I say, it's the light that's underneath all the scenes in the screens on the projector. All the seemingly different characters actually share one light underneath them, and that is the remembrance of our shared purpose, to see beyond our separate interests, our one holy interest. Holy moly. Even through the holes we see, the light can come actually, and that is actually where they often come. Let me give this up. This is bothering my heart. Hey, trust, yo, trust. I want to gain trust in trust, and to gain trust in trust, I'm going to give trust to trust. Okay, trust. I'm noticing. I'm beating myself up with this thought, with this idea, with this thing I think ought to be, and I want you to take it from me completely, trust, and or give it back to me in a way I can play with better, so that I can have a story, forgiving dream. Okay, paragraph number 2. 4 3 to 5 minute practice periods are required for today. 4 3 to 5 practice periods are required for today. Try to distribute them fairly evenly and make the shorter applications frequently to protect your protection throughout the day. To protect your protection throughout the day, the longer practice periods should take this form. First, close your eyes and repeat the idea for today several times. My holiness envelops everything I see. Your holiness envelops everything you see. Our holiness envelops everything we see. The holiness envelops everything we see. His holiness envelops everything he sees. Her holiness envelops everything she sees. First, close your eyes and repeat the idea several times slowly. Then open your eyes and look quite slowly about you, applying the idea specifically to whatever you know in your casual survey. Say, for example, my holiness envelops that rug. My holiness envelops that wall. My holiness envelops these fingers. My holiness envelops that chair. My holiness envelops that body. My holiness envelops this pen. Several times during these practice periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea to yourself. Then open your eyes and continue as before. For the shorter practice periods throughout your day, close your eyes and repeat the idea. Look about you as you repeat it again and conclude with one more repetition with your eyes closed. All applications should, of course, be made quite slowly, as effortlessly and unhurriedly as possible. Your mind is part of God's. You are very holy as an extension of Him, the Creator, the cause of cause. A cause is a cause because of its effects, and the thought of Christ, mine, Joey's, Jesus's, Mike's, Jesse's, Brenda's, Christ, is the thought of God that he gave to a story of a bridge between the hell of separation into the reality of inclusion of everything. Actually, no thing is separate and there is only truth in reality. Have a great day. I love you. Peace.